We gonna groove out, y'all. We gonna groove this one more now. I need y'all to help me sing this. It says, everything will be alright. Oh, everything will be alright, yeah. Y'all help me sing now. Say, everything will be alright. Everything will be, yeah. I need your energy right here. Let's go. Hey! Everybody just put the yellow hand. Hey! Right where you are, yeah. Hey! I know it is gonna be alright. Hey! Don't you worry about a thing, yeah. Hey! Hey! Yeah! Let's go! Say everything will be alright. I believe it, yeah. Everything will be alright. Hey, everybody clap your hands now. Everybody clap your hands now. Right where you are, everybody help me sing this right here. Say, everything will be alright. Say, everything will be alright. Say, everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everybody say, yeah, yeah. Hey. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey. Everybody help me sing. Say, hey. Everything will. Hey. Everybody just say it again. Say everything. Say. Everything. Say. Let's go to the next one. Say, everything will be, hey, everything will be alright. Hey, don't you worry about a thing, 'cause everything, say, everything will be alright. I believe it, say, everything will be alright. Don't you worry about a thing. Yeah, everything say, everything will be alright. You can't fix it yourself, no way. So listen, say, don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. Everything. Don't stress about it. Everything. Say it again. Don't worry. 'Cause everything will be. Everything will be. Hey, let's go. Hey! If y'all know it, everybody help us sing right here. We're trying to say, alright, 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 hey, alright, I thought it will be, alright, yes it will, alright, yes it will, alright, hey, alright, see all Vegas, alright, I know it Hey. Oh, hey. Everybody right here, help me sing. Hey. Everything is gonna be alright. 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 Break it down. I want to thank y'all for having us tonight. I know the world is a little crazy right now. Everybody going through something. But if you don't leave here with nothing else tonight, I want you to remember these words. Don't stress. Don't you worry. Don't stress. Don't you worry. Listen, I want y'all to help me sing this right here. Say, everything's gonna be alright. Say, be alright. Hey, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Hey, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Oh, everything's gonna be alright. Oh, no stress. No. Don't you worry. No stress. gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. I'm gonna say it one more time. No stress. Don't you worry. No stress. No, don't you worry. Don't stress. No, no. Don't worry. Don't stress. Don't you worry. Yeah, let's go. Come on. Everything's gonna be alright. Hey. Hey, everything's gonna be alright. Hey. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Hey. Give it to the drum. Hey. Give it to the rhythm section. Hey. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Hey, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Ooh-wee. All right, let's get rolling. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. And so excited to be here. Let's test this thing. So excited to be here with you, and missed you guys last Thursday, but really excited to be here, and looking forward to tonight. Appreciate you, brother. I don't know your name, but I appreciate PRS251 on TikTok every single Thursday. You're always so very encouraging, and it's always great to get that from another man, and I appreciate that, sir, for real. As you can tell, I'm just walking in the house. My daughter has volleyball this weekend, and so that is #1 on the priority scale, on top of everything else I've got going on. And so certainly hope you all are doing well, and thank you for your patience. yeah, tonight's going to be a good topic. And I think I'm going to go back on my word in terms of engage, because this is necessary for sure. And so looking forward to it, and really appreciate all of you and thankful for your support in a major way. Gonna be a good session tonight, and gonna be a really good session tonight. And again, I'm not scatterbrained. I'm literally trying to get everything connected while I'm here. That artist is Mr. Doobie Powell. He is one of my favorite artists, and so always, if you've followed the live, I do a lot of. Sometimes I do music in the beginning, and he's typically an artist of choice. And as a former retired musician, certainly a point of personal privilege to listen to him. Very talented. Appreciate all of you again. Let me get this thing. I don't see my connection. And let's just get my connection going here. Oh, because I don't have it on. Let's get this thing going, and then we'll welcome everybody, and we're going to get going. This is going to be really good tonight. Somebody hit me up and said they were afraid to show up tonight. And but it's going to be that kind of night for real. I think this might be, though we're just in February, this could easily be live of the year. So I'm looking forward to it. What in the world is really going on over here? Looking forward to this, and really thankful to have you all tuned in with me tonight. Shout out to all of my subscribers. Thank you so much for your support. And those of you that are subscribed in my subscription space, if you have not subscribed on Patreon, do that right away. I am slowly but surely transitioning all of my subscription services over to Patreon. And so you cannot, you may be able to subscribe on Instagram, TikTok, but I'm not going to be using those anymore. And so if you have not already subscribed to Patreon, make sure you do that. We have a 52-week course going on right now, 52 weeks. So it is really like that over there. And if you want community and you want to engage in a space where you can get more intense learning, I want to challenge you. There we go. I want to challenge you to subscribe there, and I think you won't regret it. Right. So check out the link in my bio. You can do that. And certainly want to shout out all of my Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support and work in this space. I cannot. Where is my microphone? My microphone is not showing up. Pods, bro. No, no. It's just not showing up. And I don't know what's going on here. It might be because it's me. Let me just do this real quick. What it does. I am so tickled to be here tonight again. And this is going to be a lot of fun. For sure. This is really going to be a great live. I didn't have time to test none of this, y'all. So I know some of y'all probably talking about me behind my back. I literally ran in the house and jumped on the computer. And so you probably noticed on some of my lives, seeing a lot of eye bags. I had quite a few people call me out
in my DMs that reached out and fussing. I think many of y'all think you're my mama, and some of y'all my daddy, but mostly women. Guys think you're my mama. I promise you, once I can get through this little busy time that I'm in, which I don't even know, that's probably a bad way to word it. Once I can kind of slow down a little and get some things going for 26, I'm going to find some time to get a few days. It was my intention to get away a few days, and then the snow hit us all here on the East Coast. Um, and so that really absolutely sucked for sure. Um, and so it's my goal to get some away time, hopefully, real soon. Um, in the meantime, thank you all for your prayers. I don't know, and this is kind of random. Just bear with me. I'm kind of talking as I figure out what's going on with my mic, but these are things that are important to say and share. A lot of you have reached out, and just said, "Doc, I'm praying for you." And if you followed my work, I have folks and clients from now 50 countries. Um, Now 50 countries and 1,220 clients and counting, and people from all types of backgrounds and religions and whatever. And I will tell you, one of the nicest things that's been happening to me recently is people just reaching out deal to me. Um, it is a big deal to me for so many of you to reach out and say, "Hey, Doc, I'm praying for you. I want you to know that." And I don't take that lightly. It's greater than money or anything that you can give to me materially. And so I really, 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 really do appreciate that. And I don't take that for granted at all. All right. And so thank you all, so many of you. So many of you who have been so kind in that regard. All right, so I don't know what's up with my mic, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to keep wasting a lot of time with this. I don't know if my speech pathologist is on the line tonight. She knows who she is, but hopefully, I don't sound like I have this lisp that I always have. Good. Some of you are saying I sound clear, so that's great. But for whatever reason, Des, Ore, I need you guys here. I wish y'all were here um, to do this mic stuff. I done messed around and got spoiled. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to go ahead and get into this tonight because we've got ground to cover. We're going to be here until about midnight. All right. And so I can just tell you that now. So let's get ready to work. Go ahead and grab your journals. Real quick, let me shout out all of my moderators. Thank you so much. Moderators, for those of you that do this every single week. You get in and you moderate the comments and you ensure that the chat area is really smooth. I really appreciate all of you. And I'm really thankful for you. And let me also say, let's continue to keep the comments professional, but also honest. The conversations have been very engaging in the chat area. That's something I've been noticing as I've had a chance to kind of skim through some replays and things like that. And so I'm really grateful for that. I love dialogue. If you just look on social media right now, the dialogue is real ghetto. Um, it's real ghetto right now. People just cannot disagree without wanting to fight and do crazy stuff. And so I love how many of you banter back and forth in the chat area, but everything remains professional. And of course, I wouldn't expect anything less here at Inspire Nation. So do me a favor, let's keep the chat area very professional. and also very kind. But we occasionally have visitors from time to time. And so, in the event that someone jumps in the chat area with something crazy, don't go back and forth with birds. Just drop an eagle in the chat area. And you'll see a lot of people drop an eagle there, and our moderators will do a good job of getting them out of the room. Let me also say quickly, I should have some news next week about a very important initiative. Um, you all called it the tour last year. It is not a tour anymore. I really spent some time the last 60, 70 days just really contemplating a lot of things. And one of the things that I realized after last year is that when you're doing something for the first time, you're bound to make some mistakes, right? You're bound to make some mistakes as you're figuring some things out, and definitely made some mistakes last year. And one of those mistakes I made was calling my city visits a tour. Um, I'm not an influencer. I, Regardless of how some of you want to put me in the influencer tank, I'm not an influencer. I ain't a rock star. I ain't no rapper. I ain't none of that. What I am is the expert when it comes to healing and transformation, life transformation. I am that. I am the expert when it comes to the healing life transformation space. And so this year won't be called a tour, but a variety of things, but primarily something called Transformation 180. And so I'll have some more information about that next week. Just pleased to say that I've got all of the cities identified. All of the dates are there and strongly affirmed. We're working on locations and looking forward to hopefully releasing some of those really soon. And so can't wait to to travel with this awesome group of people to about 8 or 9 cities this year, plus some additional cities for some bigger events that we'll talk about as well. And they're going to be powerful. And the purpose of it is real simple. It's not you can get photos and all that stuff if that's what you want, but the purpose of this is really for you to leave transformed. The word tour comes with it a certain connotation that I did not like. And I'm just going to be honest with you. This is a higher level of thinking. It comes with a connotation that I didn't like. And in this space that I'm in, the integrity of my work has to be based in transformation. All right. And so it's going to be great. I'm excited about the change. These stops will be 3-hour stops. I will tell you that much. 3-hour stops. And so you're going to feel like you in a class, and that's the way it should be. But I'm excited about that and looking forward to working with all of you. All right. Support the show. The ways to support the show, we'll get that up on the screen really quickly. I want to jump right in. Put in your journal, if you have your journal already. Go ahead and write in your journal tonight what we're talking about, the performative behavior trap. Let's talk about it. The performative behavior trap. All right. That's what we're going to talk about, the performative behavior trap. And this is going to be really good because I'm going to tell you, this year as I've opened up my books for new clients and talked to a lot of new people and met a lot of new people, I will tell you one very consistent theme of 2026 so far has been around performative behavior. And many of the clients, in fact, none of the clients that I've mentioned this with, and I've talked to at least, this is February, at least 12 clients that have had issues regarding or surrounding performative behavior who did not even know what performative behavior was. But as a result of our conversation, realized that a lot of the ways they were showing up was performative. And so the light really went off, and I said, let's start February talking about performative behavior. Because performative behavior is one of those things that will ultimately cause you to show up as fake as you can be. In fact, I'm going to give you 5 ways you know you are probably in this performative behavior trap, or your behavior is performative as such. But let me just give you a bonus 6 that ain't on the list. If you live in a fake life, you're being performative.
Oh my God.
I don't know nobody who's not living authentically, who's not performing at the same time. Because when you are being anything that you are not, you are performing. And many of you don't even realize you are victims to performative behavior, because you don't even see the connection between being performative and not being authentic. But please understand, if you are not being true to who you are performing. If you are performing, you are being fake. Denzel Washington is who he was in Training Day. He ain't that in real life. Whatever actor, superstar, movie star you watch in any movie, it is mostly, for the most part, that in the movie. They're not that in real life. So when you're not walking in a space of authenticity, you're being fake from the start. If you're being fake from the start, I'm telling you, you are performing. And if you're performing, you're not showing up as the most aware, as the most impactful, as the most genuine version of yourself. And if you are doing that, every area of your life is going to suffer. Can't ask for a real relationship when you fake.
Oh my God.
But Doc, can you? Doc, I need to get my Muppets tonight. Doc, can you perform? Can you identify fake? Can you define fake? Yeah, anything that doesn't really align with who you are. When what you say, what you do, and what you believe don't agree, that's fake from the start. When what you say, what you do, and what you believe don't agree, you're being fake from the start. Start there. So it doesn't make sense to ask for authentic relationships, authentic connections, etc., when you're not even showing up true to who you are first. This has implications in your relationships. This has implications at your job and in your career. Some of you aren't performing well in the workplace, in your careers. You know why? Because you're not really being true to who you are. So your employer, if you're not the CEO or the entrepreneur, your employer isn't even getting the most authentic version of you, because you ain't even being true to you. So I'm telling you now, many of you, more likely than not, most of you, if you're not living in this genuine, authentic space, are absolutely being performative. And we're going to get to it. And I'm going to make this very, very clear here. I'm going to make this very, very clear here. All right? Now, let's talk about how we can evaluate what performative behavior looks like. And I'm going to give you some ways you can figure this out. Okay? I'm going to give you some ways you can figure this out. I'm going to give you some ways you perhaps know you are in this performative behavior pattern. And then we're going to give you some ways to solve it. But I'm telling you right now, I have met, and I love y'all because I know y'all new clients are watching. And I told you to your face, so this ain't the first time you heard it. But I've had so many clients show up fake on my screens this year, trying to figure out what the problem was, why people weren't responding to them the way they wanted them to respond, why they weren't getting certain outcomes in relationships and marriages and at work and with their children, why people and circumstances weren't aligning in their life. Well, it starts with you not being authentic. If you ain't true to you, how in the ham sandwich do you expect somebody else to be true to you? We got to stop. So we're going to eliminate a performing. Now, I want to deal with this because one of the greatest things that I don't think people realize about performative behavior, it's really mind-blowing. Performative behavior, like your attachment style, is often born in childhood. If you followed my work, if you follow genuine or general teaching on attachment styles, you know what the data says. The data says ages 2 to 3-ish to 8 to 9-ish when our attachment styles are formed. Well, just like your attachment styles being formed, performative behavior also gets formed in that same vein. So I'm going to give you a journal prompt to help you figure this all out, because some of you are going to discover real quickly whether or not your behavior, how you treat people, how you respond to people, how you handle people, how you allow people to handle you, that's a big one. You're going to figure out really quickly if this stuff is authentic or if it's performative. Here's a journal prompt I want you to consider. Write this down. You're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler all week. You ready? Write this. What are your earliest memories of behavior in exchange for reward? I'm going to explain this. What are your earliest memories of behavior in exchange for reward? Now, what I've done is a 2-in-1 with that question. What are your earliest memories of behavior in exchange for reward? What I've done is a 2-in-1. Meaning, I've given you this question, but I've also given you the definition at the same time. Because the definition of performative behavior is nothing more than behavior in exchange for a desired outcome. Record it. You're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler all week long. Performative behavior is behavior in exchange for a desired outcome. These are custom definitions. You ain't going to find it on Google. You ain't going to find it on Chat GPT. For all you folks that's cheating. Oh my God. Performative behavior is behavior in exchange for a desired outcome. So, if you're living your life and you are doing certain things in exchange for a desired outcome, you are not being authentic per se. You are being performative, particularly, and let me quantify this, particularly if those things don't align with what you say, what you do, what you believe. If the things you are doing in exchange for a desired outcome does not align with what you say, what you do, and what you believe, you are being performative and not in a positive way. Which implies what? Performative behavior, keep writing, can be healthy or unhealthy. It is perfectly healthy to be performative in behavior if that behavior aligns with things like your values. I'm going to talk about that later. Meaning, you say, I value peace. What you say aligns with peace. What you believe aligns with peace. What you do aligns with peace. And if you make intentional efforts to avoid people who create drama, that is performative behavior. That is positive. Is this making sense? Okay? Is this making sense? That is performative behavior. That is positive. Here's the opposite side. You ready? You claim you value peace. You say you value peace. You claim to believe in the importance of peace in your life. But you go out here and connect with people, won't leave people, make excuses for people that bring nothing but drama and heartache. Watch. And Here we go. You do things to maintain those relationships in the name of preserving a peace that really ain't real. That's performative.
Oh my God.
Which is why when some of y'all say you want peace, but you stay in a dramatic relationship, a relationship filled with drama, but you say you value peace, but you stay there in the name of peace because you don't want to rock the boats for your kids, that's performative behavior. And some of you have never been taught performative behavior like this. And guess what? This comes from somewhere. And we're going to start with childhood. In your journal prompt, I want you to think about what are the earliest memories of behavior in exchange for reward. When I was growing up, what are some of the earliest recollections? I'm taking y'all through a real live session. This is literally almost word for word verbatim, things I've taught at least a dozen times so far this year. What are some of the earliest memories I have where if I did something, I was rewarded for a way I did something, for good or bad? Why? Because this is going to give you an idea of how healthy performative behavior was instilled inside of you. And I'm going to give you an example of both a positive one, debatable, and a without a doubt negative one. Right? I have this conversation a lot with my friends who are parents. We talk a lot about allowances for chores, right? And some of us grew up getting allowances for chores. And then some of us grew up and you just had to do them and you ain't get nothing but the hot dog that was on the table. So everybody, not all of us grew up with allowances. Okay. But this notion of allowances for chores, right? I get a lot of friends and we have these conversations, Doc, should you give a kid an allowance for doing chores or not? Well, I guess it just depends on what side of the fence you land on. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, but I think if you give a child an allowance for a chore, then you have to be very honest about that allowance in alignment with their performance. You know why? Because if a child halfway does a chore and you give them full allowance, you're teaching them that if they just show up, they get paid. That ain't how life works. That ain't how life works. So if you just give a child allowance and they halfway do the dishes and halfway clean the trash and halfway do whatever they want to do, and you don't correct that or you don't reduce the allowance, what was intended to be a positive performative experience can actually have negative implications when they grow up and they start working and how they view money, right? So we have these conversations, but if a child is taught not only how to do the chore, watch, but taught values like, hey, you do these chores when people don't tell you to do them. Your parents shouldn't have to tell you to do the chores, shouldn't have to tell you to keep up with whatever, shouldn't have to tell you to go out and do whatever, shouldn't have to do all of these things. And your pay is going to be based on how well you do it, how often you do it, your inability to do that, or your ability to do that and keep up with all of these other things. What you're instilling to them is that if you perform well, you ought to be rewarded well, particularly if that performance is coming from an authentic and a genuine and a hardworking place. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. This ain't a debate about whether or not y'all give allowances for chores. Hey, run your house how you want to. This ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm using this as an example. And the example is simple. That's an example of how you can use chores as a positive performative behavior. Okay? I.e., how does that connect to reward? Let me give you an obvious negative one because some of y'all still shook up on chores. To each his own. I'll tell you, and I take it a step further. I won't go too personal, but my daughter, my daughter does this thing where she does bedazzle things. So she bedazzles things. She likes doing it as a chore. And just something, not as a chore. She likes doing it as a hobby. And she does this thing, but when she does these bedazzle things, she will do pins for her friends, and she does cups, and she does all of this stuff. And so one day I asked Giselle, I said, Giselle, um, how are you paying for all of this? Because, you know, she gets money. She might have more money in the bank than I got. I said, Giselle, how do you get, how you paying for this? You know, what, are they paying for this? Yeah, Daddy, you know, I'm charging. So what are you charging? She said, well, I did a whole cup, and she showed me this nice big old wide mug. And I know that thing probably had about 70 or 80 bedazzled jewels on. So how much you charge for that? She said, $3. I said, $3. She said, uh-huh. I said, come here. I said, come here, come here. And she got up, and I took a white sheet of paper, and we went through some good old fashioned math. Giselle, how much do the bedazzled jewels cost? Okay. How long did it take you to do that mug? How many hours? And we went through all of this, and she learned a valuable lesson. I said, okay, so great. So I have 2 pairs of Peloton shoes, one that I travel with, one that I leave here. I've got the ones that I travel with upstairs, and I grabbed them out of the box. I hadn't worn them yet. I said, Giselle, I want you to bedazzle my shoes. And based on this formula, I want you to give me what I owe you based on this formula. And I got my old pair here, or the one that I wear around the house. So, this part of it here and this part here, she bedazzled all of that. And I said, based on this formula, I want you to show me what I owe you. She said, Daddy, that'll be $300. I went right to my phone and I sent it to her. Now, I sent her that when I could have been like, what a lot of people be like, you in my house, you breathe my air, that's your payment, and to each
Oh my God.
to each his own. But the lesson that I was teaching as it related to behavior and reward is that fair, honest effort deserves fair, honest reward. Why is that important? So that when she starts dating, she won't just take what somebody gives her and be satisfied with it. This is where I'm going to lose some of y'all. You can land whatever way you want to land on allowance, but let me tell you something. The flip side to that is that if you don't teach kids that authentic work ethic, honest, fair work deserves honest, fair pay, they'll show up in relationships in an honest, fair way, get taken advantage of, and think they ought to take what they deserve. Now, somebody else saying, Doc, ain't no way. How you going to put all that together? 2 and 2. There is no way you can make that connection to that. Okay, I'll give you another example. Because some of y'all, now some of you are going to get in your feelings. Let me give you another example. Because if my parents pay me for doing the things that I do, and I do it with the right attitude, and I'm not doing it for pay, I'm doing it because I recognize my role in this house as a contributor of this house. And I recognize that this is to teach me how to manage money and to teach me how to receive fair pay for fair work, etc. Then ain't no way I'm going to let nobody's son or daughter treat me no kind of way. Let me give you another example. Had a client, I've got a story coming out on this. This is why I'm sharing it. Had a client who had a breakthrough last week that probably one of the most profound breakthroughs that I've seen in this space in a very long time. We were talking, and she said to me, she said, Doc, I'm at a place where I'm discovering that I get very uncomfortable when people don't respond well to the choices that I make. I said, give me an example of that. She said, well, I made some decisions about my career. I decided to leave an abusive marriage. I come from a very traditional and strict religious-based background where I actually had family members encouraging me to stay in a marriage that was verbally and physically abusive. And I made the decision to leave that marriage, to switch my career and to up and relocate. And the people that were the support system around me really gave me a hard time. I said, did you know they were going to do that beforehand? She said, absolutely. I said, how do you know? She said, because they already told me, they threatened me. Like one of her family members told her, that if you decide to leave your marriage and go off and relocate and take the kids with you, don't ever call us. Another family member promised to excommunicate her from a church community. They have these focus groups to excommunicate her from a focus group in her church community because she was a leader in that space and she was going to be getting a divorce as a leader from a verbally and physically abusive marriage. And told her she wasn't welcome back. She wasn't going to be welcome back to that church. She wasn't going to be involved in that focus group anymore if she decided to leave that marriage. So she just breaks down on the call. And she said, Doc, I don't understand where this is coming from. I said, where what is coming from? She said, this fear of moving forward when I know to do the right thing, but this fear of moving forward of people's response to my solid decisions. I asked her a simple question. I said, ma'am, describe for me a time in your childhood, if you can recall one, where you were ever punished with silence. She said, what? I said, tell me about a time in your childhood you were ever punished with silence. She said, Doc, I think I understand what you're saying. I said, what am I saying? She said, if I did something wrong or I did something that wasn't acceptable or whatever, then my folks or whatever didn't talk to me. I said, yeah. Can you think of those times? She said, Doc, it happened all the time. She said it happened all the time. That if we didn't do things right, or if we didn't do things according to a certain standard, we were punished with silence. So her performance was given a silent reward. Thus, she stayed in a verbally and physically abusive marriage for fear of the reward. I said, ma'am, you can call your mom and daddy and you can thank them for that. Performative behavior is dangerous. And this is a journal prompt. If y'all sit down, I'm telling you, this is just easy. This is easy work. If you sit down in your journal and just ask yourself, what are the earliest memories I have of behavior in exchange for reward? Were they positive or were they negative? If they were overwhelmingly positive, you probably may not have an issue with performative behavior, which means you might be a little bit more on the secure side. But listen, y'all, the data don't lie. The data says 60 to 65% of y'all are anxious. 60 to 65% of y'all are anxious. Well, guess what? If you're anxious, you're probably a lot of other things like people pleasing, struggle with saying no, hard time correcting others, hard time choosing you. That stuff all stems from performative behavior.
Oh my God.
Yep. That's right, Joe. That's right. This is deeper than what, and so why is this important? Because if I am not taught in a positive way how to receive a positive exchange for reward for my behaviors. Watch. And even if my behaviors aren't the best behaviors, this is why this is such a big conversation. I'm going to be doing a group work real soon on parenting. I don't know how many people are going to show up because a lot of people don't like for you to talk to them about being a bad parent, but I do this work every day. And let me tell you something, 80 to 85% of the people that come to me that have problems, it comes from childhood parenting. So you might think you're a great parent, but let me tell you, a whole lot of y'all suck at parenting.
Oh my God.
I'm just being honest with you. And it ain't no shade. I'm just telling you what the data says. I'm going to do a session on parenting because one of the things I think we need to understand real fast, quick in a hurry, is that even when a child doesn't perform well, doesn't do something well, right? And Joe, I'll take your example. Shout out to you, Joe. I'll take your statement as an example. I don't have a problem with giving a kid money for grades, right? If you're gonna give a kid money for making good grades, great. But watch this. If they make bad grades, what you gonna do? This is important. If they make bad grades, what are you gonna do? Because if you give them money and they make good grades, they make bad grades and you don't talk to them for 2 weeks, guess what you're doing? That is performative behavior in the negative. That is teaching them that if they don't perform up to a standard or up to your liking, then all of a sudden they're horrible people. They're bad people. And that's what some of y'all do. Some of y'all swing from the pendulum. And one of the things I'm going to talk about in this parenting class is learning how to discipline your kids and talk to them at the same time. Oh, it's quiet. Oh, because some of y'all are so extreme. You get so mad and you don't even talk. All you do is talk and you don't ever get mad. So your children then, like many of us, grow up with an unhealthy piece of performative behavior. So I told this client that I'm going to be sharing her story. I said, what happened is your parents precondition you to not choose you for fear of being disowned. And so your reward for your behavior of conforming was no resistance, was taking care, was smiling, was having fun with you. But your reward for resisting was going to be silence, being sat on an island, being ignored, being discontinued from the family. And some of y'all don't even realize you're doing this in your parenting. This is why if you're going to discipline a kid, the worst thing you can do to a kid after they had already messed up something is to then go the next 3 days and not talk to them. What are you doing? I've never seen a time where the parents literally act worse than the kids they raising. Y'all ain't gotta like it. I don't care. For most of these folks I see, I don't know who the parent is and who the kid is. And I'm talking about with adults. Sometimes I'm talking about with little kids. And that's because many of you parents were raised in a performative way. Do what I say and everything's going to be all right. Hey, y'all, I got a 5-part series that's going to be announced next week. It is a 5-series course. It will be the best course I've ever taught. It is absolutely the best course that I've ever taught. It's called Breaking the Generational Healing Code. And in this 5-session course, Breaking the Generational Healing Code, I'm going to talk about how the different generations, silent, boomer, X, etc., how they heal, how they process trauma, how they deal with fear. It's going to be powerful. Because some of y'all going to learn, you don't even need to go to ancestry.com. You're going to learn a lot about your family tree just in this one little course. It's going to be the best investment you ever made. Some of y'all don't even realize you wounding your kids the same way you were wounded, but you thought it was normal because your parents normalized it. It ain't normal for you to get a week of silent treatment because you made an F on a report card.
Oh my God.
It ain't normal for you to be getting silent treatment because you made an F on a report card and you get that treatment for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
So this has happened with many of us. And it's so important that you catch this so you can repair it. The earliest versions of this become the earliest examples of people-pleasing behavior. I'm telling you, most of you, if 60 to 65% of the world's population is anxious, most of you became people pleasers at a young age, and you didn't realize that you were becoming a people pleaser when you avoided doing what was right or what was more comfortable for fear of receiving silence, for fear of being mistreated. Now that's a really good question because Don, we in the same boat. I don't know if my parents are tuning in. If they are, hey mom, dad, I love y'all. I doubt they probably are because especially my mom, I told her, you get online, don't say nothing because folks crazy. But I taught, Don said, how about getting a B and getting the treatment? I didn't get the silent treatment for a B, but I did get grounding for Bs. I did. My dad is Phi Theta Kappa. My daddy made 2 Bs in college, PhD from Virginia Tech. Walking genius. First, this Black History Month, right? First African-American school superintendent of our school district. Okay. My daddy's smart for real. I'm a hard worker. I have a real PhD, but my daddy's smart. Okay. He real smart for real. I had to work for my grades. You know, he didn't have to study as long as I did. I had to study. Okay. Real smart. But let me tell you something. I got grounded for a B before. I got a phone taken away for a B. And I didn't just get it taken away just to have something to do, for him to have something to do. When our parents punished us, they explained why they were doing it, and they explained what the expectation was. And not only did they explain what the expectation was, they explained how the expectation was going to translate into the future. Some of y'all ain't explaining nothing. You just punishing your kids, telling them to shut up, get out your face, and don't talk to you for the next 3 days.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to see how many of y'all sign up for that parenting group work. Not necessarily performative behavior, but one of the things that I talk about is a perfectionism wound. And I did have a perfectionism wound. No doubt about it. I can admit that I had a perfectionism wound that really didn't heal. I would probably say, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years after undergrad. So maybe when I was maybe 30, 31-ish. And I remember it specifically because there were some life events that went on around that time. I didn't heal my perfectionism wound until around that time. What's a perfectionism wound? Where you feel like you got to get everything right. You got to make every right decision. You set unrealistic standards and expectations for yourself. That's not necessarily performative behavior per se. So that is a good question, but it can cause you to evaluate things in a very unharsh way. I evaluated people in a very unfair way. People that were in my life were expected to show up how? Perfect. You know why? Because I had to be. I didn't realize it at the time. Right? So these are things that we learn and mature through as you do the healing work. All right. But I'm telling you, this people pleasing thing is interesting because the earliest versions of performative behavior become the earliest examples of people pleasing behavior. Okay. So use that prompt. That's going to get you in the direction you need to go. All right. So this is what we got to do. I want you to record this. We've got to shift from performative behavior to confidence in enough. Record it. We have to shift from performative behavior to confidence in enough. Are y'all supporting the show? Support the show. Support the show. I would love to lead this up tonight. All right. We have to shift from performative behavior to confidence in enough. One word you can put right next to confidence in enough, if you want to just replace that, write the word contentment. Let's talk about this. This is going to be fun. If you want to heal performative behavior, you've got to shift from being performative to functioning in contentment. All right. Now, you cannot make that shift if you don't know you're in performative behavior, right? If you don't know you're in performative behavior, you can't make the shift. So let me give you, before I show you how to solve this, let me give you 5 ways to know you're in performative behavior. This is where it's going to get good. Y'all with me? I want to give you 5 ways to know you are in performative behavior. And there are many ways, y'all. I just chose 5. These are 5 that I felt were pretty connected to the trends that I've seen in my work, that are really connected. I can make some connections to my triangle of trust, my 5 areas of healing. But let me give you these 5 and just know that these aren't the only 5, but these 5 are going to speak to most of you. All right. 5 ways you can know you're in performative behavior. Number 1, you care more about how something looks than how it feels. Uh-oh. You care more about how something looks than how it feels. If you're one of those people where your decisions are guided by things like, how is this going to come across? What people going to think? What are people going to say?
Oh my God.
How are people going to get offended?
Oh my God.
What if people don't speak to me no more?
Oh my God.
Instead of, is this actually right for me? Instead of, is this actually healthy for me? Instead of, does this actually align with my values? You're being performative. You are performing. And let me give you a better one than that. You're not only performing, I want you to remember this, you're managing optics and not integrity. That was salad worthy. I ain't seen a single salad all night. You're managing optics instead of integrity. And let me tell you something. Some of y'all are professionals at managing optics. Oh, you will protect this. I'm talking to all of y'all in these piss poor marriages that you refuse to address because of how it's going to look to people. When you focus more on the optics instead of what's right, you don't have no integrity. And guess what that goes back to, y'all? You are being fake.
Oh my God.
Phony.
Oh my God.
Milli Vanilli.
Oh my God.
You might as well just walk around like this. And I know many of you are in this space. You know how I know? Because for most of you that do this, you are actually in a position where peace has taken a backseat to perception. That you would rather be perceived as being happy than actually be happy. You would rather be perceived as having integrity instead of actually having integrity. You would rather be perceived as being in a good relationship than actually being in a good relationship. Your peace is in the back seat and your perception is in the front seat. And meanwhile, you ain't doing nothing but fooling you and everybody else in your car. Yeah, that's a bar. That's a salad-worthy bar. Y'all don't support the show if you want to. My subscribers are going to eat this up. By the way, have y'all subscribed to my YouTube channel? Make sure you do that right away. Can y'all do that? If you ain't subscribed, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got some fresh content coming there. I'm going to be probably posting 2 or 3 times a day. Yeah, that's why Doc ain't got no life. You hear what I'm saying? Your peace has taken a backseat to perception, and that's where many of you are. And that's exactly why you are in performative mode. If you care more about how something looks than how it feels, or more about how something looks than what's right, you're performative. Now I'm gonna get in some trouble here. That's fine. I came tonight tired, but I came prepared to tussle. I do a lot. Clients in 50 countries from all walks of life and religions. I like to bring religion into this, obviously, every blue moon. My 5 years of healing, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. As a Christian and as a believer, one of my greatest honors is to have atheists as clients. Because most people in my profession that are Christian will never get an atheist to sign up with them. You know why? Because they can't separate healing from what they believe. But let me share this with you. In this space, talking to people from religious backgrounds, one of the most touchiest things that I deal with is divorce. Without a doubt, divorce. Divorce is one of the most touchy things that I deal with in this space with clients, particularly clients that come from a religious background. Because many of you may not believe this, but a lot of people have chosen to remain in just piss poor marriages in the name of religion. And in this seat, I've seen people stay in very bad marriages. Yeah, in very bad marriages, I've seen people stay in very bad marriages in the name of religion for fear of being outcast. Right? I've also seen people stay in very bad marriages because of their role in religious circles and how it would be perceived if they had a divorce given their role in a circle. Meanwhile, that marriage was filled with adultery, cheating, no emotional integrity. Some of the marriages started off on adulterous grounds and folks stayed in it anyway to save face. And I'm telling you, when you're in that position where you care more about optics than you do what's real, you're going to live the rest of your life fake.
Oh my God.
A big reason why many of you are fake is because you care more about optics than what it is. Some of you are politicians. Some of you are married to politicians. And you stay in those situations. Why? Because, hey, I can't be such and such and look like I got a bad marriage. Meanwhile, you got a wife, 5 girlfriends, and a secret male concubine. And you're telling me your greatest worry is an optic? I see this stuff every day. And you're going to know you're healed. I want you to record this now. You're going to know you're on the healing trajectory when your greatest deliverance is over people's opinions. Doc, how you know you was healing? I knew I was healing when I got delivered from what people thought about me. I knew I was delivered when I got over people's opinion of me. And you're going to know your healing journey is in a different gear when you care less about what people think about you. For real. And I'm not talking about not caring about what people think about you and you out here doing crazy stuff. I'm talking about you're out here living a life of integrity. Your life aligns with your values and folk think whatever and you could care less. So this optics thing is a real big deal for a lot of people. And I'm going to just tell y'all, stop letting your piece sit in the back seat in the name of how something looks. If you do that, your behavior reflects that of performative. Here's a second way you know you're in performative behavior. That took out half of y'all. Let me tell you what else that includes. Since we're on the divorce topic, that also includes what your kids might think. I keep telling people this. Kids are more resilient than adults. If you go through a divorce or you break up with your baby's father or mother or whatever, and a kid is involved, kids can bounce back a whole lot better than adults can. I don't know why adults don't understand this. Kids physically heal faster. Kids bounce back faster. They're very resilient. And so when you say stuff like, oh, I got to stand this. I'm going to hurt my kids' heart. What are my kids going to think? Performative. All performative. Love y'all, mean it. Here's the second way you know you're in performative behavior. This making sense? Y'all supporting the show? Oh, I got some super chats. Let me shout them out. Thank you so much. Rocho Smith, appreciate you. Got a comment. I'll read those as well. Naomi the G, appreciate you more. Camille Barnes, thank you for your sage wisdom. I appreciate you. Nicole Robinson, sounds like my client. Appreciate you, dear. Thank you so much for your support. Y'all support the show the way you support the show on the screen. I said a whole lot of salad worthy stuff, and I'm just getting started. I got 5 ways to go through and solutions. Way number 2. You ready? Told y'all it's going to be a long night tonight. Let's lock in. Okay. Way number 2. Here's a second way you know your behavior is performative. You feel drained after you show up for people. Do you feel drained when you show up for people or after you show up for people? And I'm talking, you could show up for people and really be doing a real solid thing, a real positive thing, but you leave a positive encounter feeling drained. You might feel tired. From an emotional standpoint, you may feel like you have no energy. You could be showing up to somebody's celebratory event, but going there doesn't feel like an exciting journey or trip. It feels like something you're doing because you kind of have to do it. Performative. This is for all of you people that go places and you feel like you just holding yourself together to be there. Well, let me just go here and let me just get through this wedding.
my God.
Let me just get through this family trip over the holidays. Let me just get through it. I don't, some of you don't even have the guts to say, I don't really want to be there, but that's what you're thinking. But in case you have the guts, I don't really want to be there, but let me just get through this whole thing. Performative. When you feel drained after showing up for people, you are literally performing. Because when you are who you are, it ain't no drain. Which is why, you don't get no sleep. You don't get no rest. I said earlier in the show tonight. Shout out to all of you. So many of you have reached out to me this year. I don't know how people sense this. I think sometimes I really believe that when you pour into people, people really latch on to what your spirit is. I really believe that. Folk I ain't never talked to. Doc, I'm praying for you. You need rest. And it's really been right on time. I am tired. But let me tell you something. You know why I ain't drained by doing this? Because this is what I authentically am. Hey, let me make sure this mic on. All you content creators that want to go viral in 2026, let me give you the easiest way to do it. Be who you are. That's it? Yeah. Not post 50 times a day? Nope. Not come up with ratchet content, fighting and cussing and carrying on? Nope. Regardless of how much our culture likes it.
Oh my God.
You want to be authentic? Be who you are. Because there is a magic strength that comes with you just being authentic. So even when you don't have a lot of sleep, you don't get a lot of rest, you ripping and running, you bouncing I'm bouncing from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, literally running here like the 5 heartbeats and slide across my desk and hit the computer on and turn it on and then just start talking and I don't feel drained at all. You know why? Because when you're being true to who you are, you ain't got to put on. I'm not expending more energy than the person that's being fake.
Oh my God.
Folks that's being fake, you spending a whole lot of energy. A whole lot of energy. I spend energy, but I don't feel drained. I don't remember the last time. Yes, I do. That's a bald-faced lie. I do remember the last time I felt drained. One of the last times I felt drained was when I was in a position, in a situation that I had no business being in, that I didn't want to be in, and I chose to be in. That was quite a long time ago.
Oh my God.
Thankful for healing. It works. So if you feel drained after you show up, you're probably performative. Almost guarantee it. Stop trying to hold it together to be around people. Hey, if you got to muster up strength to be in certain circles, stop performing. I'm going to tell y'all right now, if I have to muster up strength to be around anybody, I'm not going to be around you.
Oh my God.
This is to all you people pleasers that are having to find strength to show up in certain spaces. The day I got to start finding strength is the day I ain't going. If I got to find strength to get there, I'm not coming. It's just, no, I need my strength for other stuff. I need my strength for my kids and for Turks and Caicos. I don't need no strength to show up around you. And if I do, y'all, this is in business too. Look, if I gotta find the strength to put a person on my team, that's a sign you don't need to be on it.
Oh my God.
If I gotta find the strength to just work with you, not a good idea. Doc need his strength. This makes sense? Okay, so let's get out of this performative space and thinking it's noble to leave spaces, situations, connections drained. That ain't noble. I like that. This is a really good question on YouTube. What do you say, Dr. Zeb? Yeah, I'm gonna stop. Y'all gonna have to start doing super chats before I read these questions. Somebody got on me about this. Said, Doc, people ain't gonna give you no salad because you just too nice. What do you say, Dr. Zeb, when they say they were called to do it? Called to do what? Let me tell you. I don't mean. Hey, let me tell y'all something. Can you clarify what you mean by that question before I go in? Because I'm about to go in about this calling thing real quick. What do you say, Dr. Zeb, when they say they were called to do? Can you clarify that for me, my friend? Whoever mentioned that, I don't want to call your handle out. Will you clarify that for me? Okay. Because some of y'all are being drained by people who are in spaces they said they were called to. They really not. Because let me tell you something about a calling. As this person is clarifying this question, let me just tell you something I know personally about a calling. Callings that are for real, that are sincere, are not comfortable. Not at all. If you like what you've been called to from the start, it's probably not your calling. It's probably something you want to do. And when I say calling, I'm talking about having a chosen purpose for something, not just having an itch for it. You do realize there's a difference between being called and chosen, right? A lot of people have a calling or a zeal or a desire to want to do something. Few people have have been chosen to do that very thing. And when you've been chosen, normally in the beginning, you don't want it. They doing the Lord's work. Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing I know about the Lord's work is that the blessings of the Lord make rich and add no sorrow. It don't mean you may not have no hard times, but you shouldn't be sorrowful. And to me, it ain't a worse drain than a person being supported through something they want to do, but they ain't been called to do, and God got something to do with it. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole tonight because I will offend a lot of y'all. Yeah. I know it's not you. I know it's not you. Yeah, I know it's not you. I'm not saying it's you. She said, "This isn't me, Dr. Zaya." No, I'm not saying it's you. Not at all. No, I'm not saying it's you. I'm not getting that impression at all. I'm not saying it's you. Not at all. Right? But is this making sense? Y'all, stop letting folks drain you. Stop letting people's behavior become your drainage. Y'all stop. Okay? Number 3. Here's a third way you can know you're in performative behavior. This making sense, y'all? This helping? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I really want to do it bad. I mean, the easiest way to look at this, you can look at some of these like singing shows. Like, I think American Idol was the one that really was really the one that put this on the map. American Idol and Simon Coward really put this on the map, and people didn't like Simon. You know why? Because he told people, whoever told you to come here and try out should be banned, should be disowned. He was telling people that. He was telling people, you believe you've been called to sing, you belong on a cruise ship. And you know what? When you have that honest approach to your environment and the things in your environment, guess what you find? You find peace. Oh, there's great peace, y'all, when you don't allow things and people in your life that just be performing. Great peace. Oh, no, I don't remember the last time I've been drained. I meant it. I don't get drained often. You know why? Because I don't let stuff come in my life that drains me. I don't let people come in my life that drain me. Not at all. If my beautiful kids don't drain me, y'all not draining me. Okay? Third way you know you're in performative behavior. Ready? You need validation to feel settled. Uh-oh. If you need validation to feel settled, you're probably in performative behavior. Let me explain. When you're performing, you measure success based on the response of people. When you're performing, you base success based on folks' feedback. When you're performing, you measure success on things like algorithms. Y'all do notice a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram say, "Oh my God, Doc, I ain't seen you in a while. Where you been?" I've been right here. But I've been hidden behind these little computer things that y'all call the A word. I'm not going to mention the word again. I just mentioned it. But Doc's not changing who he is. I'm not about to perform to get views. At that point, I might as well shut the whole shop down. I've been called to heal the world, not be liked and be popular. So when you're performing, you need feedback, you need likes, you need clicks, you need shares. But when you are not operating in performative behavior, you know what your number one goal is? Alignment. Alignment's your number one goal. What you say, what you do, and what you believe are going to agree, regardless of the consequences. Which means, y'all, TikTok, y'all ain't seen me in the feeds in forever. My numbers have been falling like crazy. Instagram numbers have been falling like crazy. Y'all ain't seen me in your feeds, but guess what? If you just type my name in the search bar, you're going to find me doing the same thing I've been doing. I don't need validation. And that includes from these dumb networks. I don't need them. When you've been called to do what you do it regardless. Not for hand claps and applause. You do it because what you do aligns with who you are. You want to know how you are in a validation trap? Let me give you 4 things. Let me give you 4 ways to know you have a problem with validation. This is a bonus for you. Let me type these in real quick. This just hit me and this is really good. Wow. 4 ways to know you are in validation mode. You ready? Number 1, these are things you will find yourself looking for. Reactions. If you're doing stuff for reactions, if you're doing things for reactions, you're probably a person who's in full validation mode. I don't do stuff for reactions. I do stuff because I do what I do. Just like that video I posted today, the partial video on Instagram, the full video is on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube, subscribe right away. Where I literally looked a man in his face and said, "You a simp," and your wife sitting right next to you, she loves you because her background is jacked up, and she likes simps because that aligns with her brokenness. I don't do that for shock value. I just know the truth is either going to set you free or make you mad.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, a whole lot of people doing stuff and saying stuff on social media they don't even really mean. They don't even really stand by. Why? Shock and awe. To get a reaction, to go viral, to be seen. Some of y'all don't even dress the fuck. Let me tell you, I love y'all. Ladies, I love y'all. I love y'all. Okay. I used to teach when I started my career after undergrad, when I started in the HR space. I used to teach a course on professional dress. And I used to measure ladies' heels. I had a course
where my guys and my ladies had to dress up every Friday. These were young technical community college students, and I was trying to teach them professional dress. And so I made them dress up. There was a particular course where for the semester they had to dress up every first Friday of that semester. And I graded them and I gave them the rubric what I was going to grade. And they hated me at first, especially, well, everybody did. I can't just say especially the ladies because I was equally hard on both. But ladies, it was bad. Like I would literally get on a knee and I would measure heel lengths, how long the heel was, because professional dress says that your heel length should be no more than 2 to 2.5 inches. A 6-inch heel is not a professional heel in an interview. Y'all don't argue with me. I didn't make the rules. Okay. Most employers, ladies, if you walk in with a 6-inch or 7-inch stiletto heel, they're going to think you're there for a job, but probably not what they're hiring for. So I would measure the heels. So now I can be at a restaurant, I can be at a mall, whatever, and I can see a woman walking and I can look at her heels and tell you how many inches they are. I've measured a lot of heels in my life. But I used to tell ladies, look, you don't have to wear the 2 to 2.5 inch heels if that's not your style. Get you a pair of flat shoes that are professional and just do that. Just wear you a pair of flat shoes. You know why? Because you're better off being comfortable in those flats than wearing 2.5, 3, 4-inch heels to get a reaction and you can barely walk. And I had to get a young lady, bless her heart. She took it so well. She was so kind. But the lady, little young student walked in. I'll never forget this, I remember it vividly. She walked in probably about 2 minutes before the class. I was about to shut the door to start the course. And she came in and she turned that corner and she could barely turn the corner and walk in them heels because she was walking in heels that she could not walk in. And the class started laughing. And I told them to get their materials out. And I pulled it to the side. I said, sweetheart, why are you in these heels? She said, Doc, because I was trying to wear, I'm trying to, wear, heels that look nice. I said, baby, have you ever worn heels before? She said, no. I said, why you got them on now? And not only heel, why you got on 3, 4-inch heels, sweetheart? If this is not what you normally do, don't do it. And a lot of y'all are like this. You do stuff for reaction. And when you do stuff for people's reaction, you're being performative. This is why when I pick and choose what I post on my page, it ain't got jack squat to do with none of y'all. I don't care what y'all like. You ain't me.
Oh my God.
I don't care what you want to see. You ain't me. I don't care what would look best on your feed. You ain't me. You don't like it? Unfriend me. I post what I post, not because the culture want to see it, not to get on somebody's podcast. I post things that align with my purpose to heal the world. And if you like it, great. If you don't, scroll on.
Oh my God.
So you're going to know you're functioning in validation if you do things for reaction. 2, let me give you another way of validation. You know you're functioning in validation. Reaction, response. If I do this, what kind of response am I going to get back? Let me help some of you IG models. But Doc, ain't no IG model. Doc, I only got 2,000 followers. Okay, great. So when you post your pictures, do you post your pictures and just post what you like and then just let it go? Or do you post your picture and then check your picture every 2 minutes to see who liked it and who commented? And I ain't just talking to women because some of you guys are worse than women. Some of you guys do that stuff worse than women do.
You posted stuff, and then you looking at your phone every 2 minutes to see, oh, who liked it? Who liked it? You put stuff on your story. Who liked it? You know why? Because you're finding validation in response. That's because you're performative. I was telling a young mentee of mine who was asking me about going viral, and I had to give him this nice speech that he didn't want to hear about his focus should be less on going viral and more on being authentic. And I told him about the first time I went viral. The first time I went viral, I was working at a university, and I posted a video in my car. I wasn't wearing these hats at the time. I posted a video in my car. I had a client story on a note card. It was only the second or third one that no, that's a lie. It was on like the seventh or eighth one that I did. It was on a note card. I had the notes on a note card, phone in one hand, nothing fancy. I'm sitting in my car like this, note card here, phone here. And I'm recording the video on this right hand and reading some points off of a note card and press post and put some text on it and went in the office, and my video went viral. Phone went dead in the office. I didn't know why my phone wasn't ringing for the last 4 or 5 hours of the day until I got in the car and noticed my phone wasn't on. Cut it on. Then I had about 40 messages. Doc, look, oh my God, you're going crazy on TikTok. Had no idea. You know why? Because when you do things not to get a response and you're authentic, that's when things happen for you. And I ain't just talking about posting on TikTok too. You want a man? Be yourself.
Oh my God.
You want a solid relationship with a woman? Be yourself.
Oh my God.
So she can fall in love with who you are and not who you try to act like you are. Here's a third way you know you function in validation. Do you do things for praise? You do things for praise? Or do you do things because you really want to do those things? This is a big deal for me, especially in this space, right? Transformation 180 is about to kick off. What was known as a tour is no more. I'm not an influencer or a celebrity. I'm the authoritative voice on transformational healing. That's what I am. So ain't no more tour. But I will be going to some cities with Transformation 180, and they will be 3-hour seminars that address things like fear and trauma and healing and alignment. Let me tell you something. Even when I choose my volunteers, I don't like to choose people that's not going to represent the brand that I'm doing well. If you got to be praised, if you got to be showcased, this not it for you. I've had to tell people that. Love you, but that's not it. Why? Because you have a problem with validation. And that's the last thing that I need. So this has implications for how you run business. This has implications for how you choose partners. This has implications for how you interact and function on a day-to-day basis. Here's a fourth way you know you're in validation mode. Do you do things for approval? And this one you got to be really honest about, because some of y'all gonna lie and be like, nah, Doc, I don't do things for that. I don't really do things for approval, Doc. I really do things from the bottom of my thought. I do things from the bottom of my thought. Now, be honest. Are you really doing stuff because you really want to do it? Are you doing stuff hoping you can get something out of it? And guess who? Guess who the only person is that can answer that question? You. A whole lot of people do stuff and they claim they doing it from the bottom of their heart, when the truth of the matter is they really doing something to get something in return. And if you are doing something to get something in return, it ain't from the bottom of your heart. You are not doing it from the bottom of your heart. From the bottom of your thought. Right? So are you doing stuff for approval? And I'm just telling, this is why, if I'm being honest with you, this is why y'all just overlook Doc. I'm just a corny nerd that likes doing what he does. This is why, if you do things for affirmation, just be careful, right? I know we have a love language called words of affirmation. I don't have a problem with that love language, words of affirmation. It ain't my love language. Without a doubt, it's probably last on my list. The last thing that I need, honestly, is words of affirmation. You know why? Because I'm really so secure. When I healed my attachment style and just healed in general and just really became secure, I'm gonna be honest with you. When people tell me thank you or great job, it is probably way after I've already done that to myself.
Oh my God.
And again, there's nothing wrong with words of affirmation. Hear me out. There's nothing wrong with it. But words of affirmation as a love language is very dangerous if you're not secure. Because if you're not secure and your love language is words of affirmation, you know what? You will become dependent. You will become dependent on those words of affirmation to function. There ain't nothing healthy about that. I don't care if it's your love language or not. I could care less. If it is your love language and you have become dependent on being affirmed, you're teetering in that validation space. You're teetering in that need for validation space. And that is not a good place to be. So just be careful with that. What if you're doing things for the love of a withdrawn partner? Stop. Stop. That's like trying to pour water in this cup, but somebody's got their hand over it, and here you are trying to pour water in. Stop. Y'all, we got to teach people how to speak with their words and not their actions.
Oh my God.
Because when people choose to speak with their actions first and not their words, they're dysfunctional. Yeah, there are times you can speak with your actions, but the healthiest way to speak is to actually use your words. And then if people don't respond to your words, sometimes you have to speak with your actions. But I'm talking about folks that are withdrawing first and talking second. No, 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 no. Why don't you talk first and then withdraw second? This making sense? Let me give you the fourth way you might know you're performative. Y'all, I got 11:57. I told y'all we were going to be here a while tonight. Y'all all right? Y'all like and share and support the show. Let me hurry this up. I told y'all we were going to be here. Let me give you a fourth way you might be operating in performative behavior. If you are an over-explainer, over-explainers are performers.
Oh my God.
Over-explainers are performers. Some of y'all love to explain people to death. Stop explaining people to death. Most things you not going to have to. I did a video on this once. Most things you should not have to explain more than 3 times. Why 3, Doc? How did you come up with 3? Well, you could tell somebody something the first time and maybe they didn't hear you. Or they didn't understand you. You can tell them something the second time to clarify, to make sure that they understand you. If you tell them something the third time, at that point, you're making a conscious effort to overlook what you had to explain and what you reaffirmed to be sure that they understood. So anything from 3 on, You get into territories like begging, desperation, performing. Stop over explaining, y'all. Stop trying to justify why you've grown. Stop trying to tell everybody who you are. Stop trying to convince people to understand you. Stop trying to get people to be on your team. Stop trying to justify decisions you've made that have aligned with your values and your integrity. Stop. Y'all stop being so repetitive. I saw a comment, I think Gigi was mentioned or referred to, somebody just commented where I did a live on this. Ask, seek, and knock. Ask, seek, knock. They all singular. Not a whole bunch of asking, a whole bunch of seeking, and a whole bunch of knocking. That's what over-explainers do. If you're an over-explainer, you're a performer. If you're a performer, you are performative. This is for all of you people that think your no should be accompanied by some type of job description.
Oh my God.
You want to know how a secure person gives a no? A secure person gives a no and stands firm on that no. And if that secure person doesn't feel the need to explain the no, or doesn't see the value in explaining the no, or not explaining the no, does not hurt the integrity of their no. Let me explain by that. There are some things you say no to that you need to offer an explanation to about. Okay. I know some of y'all were born in the 60s, the 70s, and the 50s, and the 40s. You grew up in a time where you just took yes and you just took no. You never got no explanation. Well, it's a different day now. You can tell a kid that the sky's green and they can go on Google and find out otherwise. So if you tell a kid the sky is green, you might want to give them an explanation of why it is. If saying no is going to, or not giving a description of your no is going to interfere with the integrity of your no, you might need to offer an explanation. But you're going to know you're secure when your yes can be a yes and your no can be a no. I be saying no and I just go on about my business. Well, why not? You can't explain that? Do I care to? Not really. Especially if it aligns with my values and my integrity. Absolutely. No, I don't. And I get it. We're in a culture, the information culture, where many of us feel like we're owed an explanation for everything, which is why some of y'all ain't got over your ex.
Oh my God.
Some of y'all ain't got over your ex and some of these bad relationships you were in because you're still waiting on an explanation. Let me tell you something. You better learn how to find peace without explanations. You're going to know you're growing for real when you can find peace and ain't nobody got to explain nothing to you. You can take people's answer regardless of how they give it and just go on. Well, I wonder why. I wonder why they did this. And I wonder why. I don't have time to wonder. Ain't but 24 hours in a day. I don't have time to wonder. 24 hours in a day, I work about 12 to 13 to 14 of those hours a day, if not more. I ain't got time to wonder. Number 5. Let me just say this too, real quick, before I get into the 5th way. You know, you are performative, and then give you some quick solutions. when you function in alignment, right? When what you say, what you do, what you believe, all agree. When what you say, what you do, what you believe, all agree, and you're functioning in alignment, let me tell you something about aligned people. Aligned people don't explain a whole lot. We just don't. I'm gonna just do what's in alignment with me, and I'm gonna move on. Aligned people just do what's in agreement with them and they move on. Aligned people don't do a whole bunch of explain. And I'm not talking about this toxic stuff. Not explaining because you're trying to make people feel a kind of way and make people be thinking stuff. That's that foolishness in this dating space. This is why many of you are single, will probably die single. I'm not talking about being silent and not explaining something to your wife or your husband that is necessary and critical for that marriage or that relationship to function, but you choosing to do it to be petty. I'm not talking about that toxic foolishness. But healed people, aligned people, don't do a lot of over explaining. Why? Because if something they decide to do aligns with what they say, what they do, and what they believe, that's good enough for them. And they will offer you an explanation if it supports the integrity of their answer. Somebody wants to invest somebody applied to receive a $10,000 grant from your business and they were not chosen, and you just tell them no. That's a firm answer, but there's no integrity in that. Somebody did an application process, had to get references and submit personal information. There's no integrity in that. Feel like I needed to give y'all an example here. There's no integrity in that. So in that case, you would reject that application, but then you would give them some type of explanation. Hey, we found other applicants. Your application could have been stronger here, 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 here. That's giving them a no with a description or an explanation that's based in integrity. Now, what you ain't going to do is probably give them 4 or 5 different messages when they go back and forth with you. That's over explaining. Okay. Number 5. Here's the 5th way you know your behavior is performative, and then I'm going to give you some solutions real quick. You ready? You know your behavior is performative when your behavior changes depending on who's watching. Uh-oh. All you code switchers. All you code switchers. And I ain't just talking about in business. I'm talking about in life. Some of y'all code switching your relationships. Some of you code switching your relationships. You code switching your families. You code switch with your children. You code switch with your boo. You code switch with your side pieces. You code switch. All you do is code switch. You code switch so much we don't know who you are. And one of the greatest compliments you can get is when people get to experience the authentic you, regardless of the setting. That thing we did last year that we called a tour, that ain't a tour no more, but something greater this year. One of the greatest things people said to me when they met me was, "Oh my God, Doc, you're just like how you are online. What did you expect?" Just a little bit more quiet in person because I am an introvert. I'm telling y'all. But when people say, "Oh my God, Doc, you're just like who you are online, like you're really down to earth," thank you. Ain't no code switch. I ain't gotta be nothing else. And you know what? It doesn't drain your energy when you can just be who you are. When you can just be who you are, you don't have to worry about having energy drains. So if your behavior changes based on who's watching, your tone shifts, you have a certain set of boundaries for certain people, but you don't have those same boundaries and energy for other people. Your behavior is performative. Your behavior is performative. You do things to try to make people think a certain thing about you. And that's fake all the way around. It's fake all the way around. Does this make sense? Now, got 12:10. I need 10, 15 more minutes. Y'all supporting the show? We're at the 2-hour mark. The numbers are pretty steady. We got to get these numbers back up to what they were pre shadow banning days, because that's exactly what I'm in now. so y'all can support the show. That would be great. Like, share the video. That would be great. If you're on YouTube, if you have not subscribed on YouTube, do that right away. I'm about to spam y'all with content there. Really change my posting cadence in Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and places like that. So YouTube is going to be the primary place to find me. And it's just what it is. But support the show. Now, so how do we fix some of this? Let's talk about fixing it real quick. We can fix this, y'all, by shifting, like I said earlier, from performative behavior to confidence in enough. I call that contentment. What does contentment look like? My definition of contentment is simple. Being content means you are okay with who you are and what you have. Being content means you are okay with who you are. Let's add something else to this custom definition. Where you are and what you have. That's the definition. Being content is being okay with who you are, where you are, and what you have. So when a person says they're being content, they're saying they are okay with being who they are, where they are, and or with what they have. Contentment doesn't mean satisfaction. To be content does not mean satisfied. When you are satisfied, you don't want more. You can be content and still desire more, but reach a place where you can say, but I'm okay. Just think hunger. Food is the easiest way to describe this. I ask my kids if they're hungry, and my kids like to eat. I ask them if they're hungry. And when I ask them if they're hungry, there's levels to their responses to let me know if they're really content or if they're satisfied. A content answer to that question, hey guys, y'all hungry? Y'all ready to eat? A content answer would be something gifting suspended in live. The behavior is not in line with our policies. Gifting is suspending this live for 10 minutes. Artificial manipulated engagement. Oh my God, what did y'all do? Well, I done got banned on TikTok again. I don't know what these folks talking about. I just don't. TikTok didn't ban me, as if I'm not shadow banned enough. Yeah, I am. So I don't know if y'all can still see me there. Anyway, so when I asked them, hey guys, are y'all TikTok is a bunch of clowns? When I asked them, I say TikTok likes ratchet content. When I say, hey guys, are you guys hungry? They will be like, well, yeah, Dad, I'm okay. I mean, I'm all right. I could eat something, but I'm okay. That's a content answer. That's a content answer. I get that sometimes. Dad, yeah. I mean, I could eat something. I could eat a little something, but I'm okay. I mean, I'm good for now. I'm good. That's a content answer. When they're satisfied, I'll get, Dad, man, I'm still full from breakfast. Like it's earlier today. They were out for school day with this weather stuff. And I was checking on them to make sure that they had lunch. And I said, you guys hungry? And they're like, no, Dad, we still full from when you got us a breakfast this morning. I can't take nothing else. That's satisfied. There's a big difference between satisfied and content. When you're satisfied, you can't take more. You don't desire more. You have enough. When you're content, you're good with what you got, but that don't mean you ain't open for more. And this is a hack to breaking performative behavior. You know how you want to break performative behavior? You got to be okay with both. You got to be okay with all three, rather. You've got to be okay with who you are, which means you got to like who you are. You've got to like where you are, and you got to like what you have. You got to like what you are. You got to like who you are, and you got to like what you have. This is all we have to do. We've got to do this to position ourselves to function in this content space. Like who we are, like where we are, and like what we have. What's the best way to do that? Well, values will help us get there. When you align your life up with your values, you start making decisions that align with the things that reflect what are the values, attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, and principles. If you don't have a copy of my value system, go to my website, download it right away. When you align your life and the decisions you make about your life with your attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, and principles, you will start to choose things, choose directions, make decisions, make moves, answer questions. You will start to do all of those things in accordance with who you are, where you are, what you have, what you like. And when you do that, you build contentment. And that, especially with that what you have part. You know what I found out, especially as it relates to performative behavior? When it relates to performative behavior, this is how this kind of works. You can be a person who likes who you are, but hate where you are and hate what you have. And that might be the attitude I've seen in my work of people, let's say, that are like financially strapped or broke people, right? I've known people that don't have a lot of money, but they like who they are, right? So they like who they are, but they don't like where they are. They don't like what they have. And so what happens is they become performative or not authentic to who they are just based on the fact that they don't like what they have and they don't like where they are. This is important, which means you can like who you are, but not like where you are, not like what you have, and still be messed up. You need all three. You need all three, right? You don't need to just like who you are, but not like where you are and not like what you have. You need all three. And being all three gets you out of this performative space. Here's the flip side. I've seen the opposite. Clients that are millionaires, that make great money, have great careers and great success stories. So they like where they are. Watch. They like what they have, but guess what they don't like? They don't like who they are. Is this making sense? So they like where they are, they like what they have, but they don't like who they are. Which means you can have things in substance and not like you and still become performative.
Oh my God.
You got to have all three. And contentment is an easy way to fix performative behavior. You know why? Because then when you like who you are, you like where you are, and you like what you have, then guess what that eliminates? I'll give you some things that it eliminates. It eliminates things like comparison. You know, this stuff that so many people do every single day, especially via social media, trying to compare your life to other people you don't know that's saying one thing online and portraying one kind of success and life online and living something else personally. So it eliminates comparison. It eliminates the need to feel like being included. It eliminates the need to feel included. You don't feel like you have to be invited to the party. You don't feel like you have to be on a red carpet to be important. You don't feel like you have to win an award to be recognized or to be the best in whatever field you're working in. Eliminates comparison, eliminates the need to feel included. We talked a little bit about this earlier. It eliminates the need to feel validated. And if you do feel the need to feel validated, where is that validation going to come from? It's not going to come from people outside of you. It's going to come from people. It's going to come from the number one source of validation, you. So if you want to fix performative behavior, create your values or identify your values. You can download my value system online. Identify your values, because that's going to create alignment. And then shift to making decisions that align with those values. Identify your values, make decisions that align with your values. And then embrace contentment. Meaning, and they embrace being okay with who you are, where you are, and what you have. And before you know it, y'all, you'll start living a life where you ain't performing for people and putting on for people. You just be who you are and do what you do. This makes sense to anybody? Was this helpful? This is more prevalent than what many of you believe. And it's bad because so many of you are performative under the guise of pseudo strength.
Oh my God.
You look strong and you pop off like you're strong. But if you're in any situation that compromises who you are, where you are, and what you have, authentically, you're fake. You are fake. And this includes, let me be very clear here. This includes being authentically true to who you are at the expense of losing people, at the expense of losing things. Watch this. At the expense of rejection. I'm going to be doing this masculine feminine energy revival real soon. And some of you ladies are going to have to work on this rejection thing. And some of you men are too. I just think our culture in general, when I say our culture, if you live in this particular context, when I say our culture, I'm talking about to everybody that's living right now. So I'm not speaking to a particular race in this context. But our culture, our time, struggles with rejection bad. Men and women. Men and struggle bad. Oh my God. Men are just as bad as women. It used to be said that only women have a hard time with rejection. Let me tell you something. Men have a hard time with rejection. Some of these men will do crazy stuff, stalk you, unalive you. You reject it. It's bad out here. Poor self-esteem. Can't take no for an answer. There's so many double standards on both sides, men and women. Men have double standards, women have double standards. Some of you women got double standards too. You feel like you can just date who you want to date and date multiple people to get to know people until you find the right one. But then when you find what you like and he don't like you and he rejects you, he's a problem. No, he chose you. He didn't choose you just like you didn't choose many others.
Oh my God.
It's just, these are some ghetto times. Ghetto times. And you know why? Because it's all under the guise of a lack of alignment. That when you are true to what you say, what you do, and what you believe, and when what you say, what you do, and what you believe all agree, then guess what? Rejection ain't no death curse or sentence. It might be a blessing. I had to get a lady straight on this, a client straight on this last week. She was so heartbroken.
over this guy she was dating. They went on a couple of dates, and he just decided that wasn't the fit for him. And she felt so personally attacked. And I said, ma'am, pretty lady, I said, ma'am, how many dates have you been on in the last year? You know what she said to me? 12. I said, like, as in one a month? She said, no, it's been a little bit more than that. So you've been on 12 dates. I said, how many of them did you reject? She said 11. So you rejected 11 people. You've been on 12 dates, and the one you chose rejected you, and he's a problem. Double standards. Women have double standards. Men have double standards. And this is why, y'all, I'll never be accused of being, a simp for the women and red pill for the guys. I don't like nobody. I like truth. That's what I like, because the truth heals, not what you prefer. But we got to do better with this. And it starts with getting out of this performative behavior. Stop trying to perform and put on for people to like you, respect you. This makes sense? Thank you. Super chats. YL Moore, I appreciate you. Great questions. Yes, you had the questions tonight. Blessings to you, my friend. I appreciate you. Those of you that supported, if you supported the show, the ways to support the show should be on the screen. Hey, do me a favor. If you have not signed up for my mailing list, I want you to do that right away. Just go to my website. I'm running a little promo right now for people that sign up for my mailing list. You will be able to I think you get like 10% off your product purchase, but then also you're going to get a lot of information, because I'm really going to be shifting a lot to getting some information out in some different ways. So sign up for my mailing list if you haven't already done that. Make sure you do that. That way, again, you can see what I've got going on, which is really a lot. I got a lot going on. This ain't a bad thing. I just got a lot going on. All right. So sign up for the mailing list and make sure you do that. And I really would appreciate it. Also, if you haven't supported the show, make sure you support the show. The ways to support the show should be on the screen. And I think I'm going to be here next Thursday in terms of being here on the live. I think so. I'm going to be traveling next Thursday on a corporate assignment. And I should be able to go live that night. It may be a more condensed live, but I should be able to go live that night. It is 12:28, and y'all stuck with me. See there? See there? Now, support the show so I can leave this live up. I would appreciate it. I'm gonna end this live with a dad joke. One of my corny dad jokes. Y'all support the live so I can leave this up. But let me give y'all one of my corny dad jokes. And it happened in real time. So me and Giselle was driving to volleyball practice. I am tired. Me and Giselle were driving to volleyball practice. Okay. And we were in the car. And we were on our way to volleyball practice. And a cat ran across the road. Well, the cat was about 15 feet ahead of me. Wasn't going fast, so I was able to stop, slow down. The cat ran across the road. Giselle said, "Daddy, what was that?" I said, "It was a cat, Giselle." She said, "Oh yeah, because I had white and black spots." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Giselle, we have a cat that's near us, our neighborhood, that always shows up in our yard. I'll pull up at the house and it's on the porch." I said, "Giselle, have you seen the neighborhood cat recently?" She said, "No, Dad." She said, "It's been cold outside." I said, "I know. Maybe whomever the cat belongs to, they actually let the cat in the house." She said, "No, Dad." She said, "It's cold out here. That cat probably is in the lake,
and got frozen. I said, no, then it wouldn't be a cat. She said, what would it be? I said, catfish. All right. It would be catfish. All right. I'm done. Hey, all the nerds, I know y'all appreciate this. Nerds, we win and we are up. I will never lose my nerdiness. I love it. All right, love y'all. I appreciate yeah, I appreciate y'all. Have a good night. I will see y'all subscribers. I'll see y'all Monday. Y'all have a good night and we'll talk soon. Peace and blessings. Oh man.